So I'm going to start off this player staff meetup. The way it works is if you would like to speak, just send me or Melissa a message. Well, preferably Melissa, since she has the permission to do any changes on the Discord server. Send her a message and be like, I'd like to speak, and we will let you speak. Ask whatever question you would like to ask, and we will respond accordingly. Try keep the questions relevant to Paradise. I mean, feel free to ask us any other questions if you'd like to. But preferably the more relevant the questions are, the better. So,
and preferably don't spam me with messages saying, can I speak, because honestly, yeah. I'm not gonna let you speak if you're gonna spam me.
Of course, just one simple message to Melissa is enough, and at some point we will let you speak. Obviously, there were quite a few people. I'm glad that all of you have come for this player staff meetup. So just have a bit of patience. So yeah, begin sending Melissa requests to speak.
So Archie, I'll let you speak. Okay, what's up?
Alright, so this next reset, what's going to be different about it from the past? Because everything that has happened in the past, it always catches up even after a reset.
Well, first of all, just for people who don't know, yes, we are going to do a global reset on Paradise. The previous reset was definitely rushed. There were problems on every server, and I think all of you who have played on Skyblock, Survival, Creative have all realized that there have been significant issues. Like, for example, the factions custom enchants were just copied onto Skyblock. Some of them gave a very unfair advantage. Some of them just had no purpose at all. And economies like factions weren't working. Economies like Skyblock also had things which were completely unbalanced. For example, the end mine on Skyblock.
Yeah.
So this reset we've taken...
And also, what would we do about the staff? Because, well, in general, actually, how it's managed. Because right now, I was banned, and I made sure I got banned. And yesterday, I got unbanned just because Nick wanted to show me the new hub. So, and that could go for a lot of things. If it's a personal favor, I really think things should change how it's managed, and no bias should occur.
We have a protocol regarding punishments. Now, this is Nick's server. He is not free to do what he likes, but to a certain extent he is. And Archie, you're not exactly the stereotypical player, and you have helped us quite a bit in the past, and I think he more unbanned you because you are who you are. And yes, it's favoritism, it's unfair, you are right. But 99% of the time we stick to a protocol, and it just doesn't happen like that. Nick would not just unban some random person. You are unbanned for more than just seeing the hub, you know? I mean, you understand what I'm saying, and I think everyone here can appreciate that there are certain players who are more than just players and have a certain amount of help and commitment towards the server that we recognize.
Okay. I completely understand. You can move on towards the next person.
Okay, thank you very much for your questions.
Okay. Check my...
thought. Luke put the command exclamation talk so that it shows which people want to talk.
Yeah.
It has a queue as well, so instead of messaging people.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah.
Alright, we'll do that.
Well, check my mixtape. You want to answer something? Okay. What's up?
Do you want to say something? Okay. Let's move on to someone else, shall we?
Yeah.
Let's move on to someone else.
Okay, so let's see. Mickey, he would like to speak to George in our language.
Can you ask him what language that is?
Let me see. And we'll just do someone else for now. How about, let's see. It's Ruggy. What's that?
It's Rugi, it's pronounced like that, but are you ever gonna use a real anti-cheat and not some cheap stuff from, I don't know what kind of dodgy website, because this doesn't seem to work. I mean, whenever you advertise, you have more hackers than actual players, and every player that actually isn't hacking just quits after about 1 week because, yeah, you know why.
Okay. The current anti-cheat we have is NPC, and no, it doesn't do a great job. All our servers technically have a PvP aspect to it, but it's not a huge aspect to all servers besides kit PvP. And yes, it is something that we recognize as an issue. In the next global reset, we will still have the same anti-cheat. As you can imagine, we only have 2 real people who are working towards stuff like plugins and development and all that, and that's John and Dylan. It is something that we have addressed and spoken about, and in the near future it is something that we are looking to change to something which is more efficient and just generally better than the current one that we have in place. But we definitely recognize that it's an issue and it's something that needs to be solved, and we will do our best to solve it as soon as possible, really. But I do not think it will be ready by next global reset.
Does my boy John not isn't he getting paid enough by Nick to make something decent or quicker? Because, you know, it's shit, basically.
Well, just to put some
Pay
light,
him more.
just to put some light on the subject, we are a very small server. We are not like Hypixel or Mindplex, where we have a very large budget, and the majority of work that John does is completely voluntary, and we just reimburse him accordingly. So you have to also consider that as well.
Well, I don't think PMC has a small budget at all. I mean, people pay a lot, but sure. Maybe not as big as Hypixel, but sure, Nick has enough money.
Yeah, there are lots of costs to running a server. It's not just the staff as well. That's just one aspect. We have to pay every month towards just keeping the server up. If we need to buy certain plugins, Dylan, for example, doesn't work unless he is paid, and he is a very skilled developer, so he's not exactly someone that comes cheaply. And John is more of a system admin, and it is something that we will work on. We understand that it's more than just money as well. It's also time. Certain things just have to take in a certain amount of time, no matter how much money you put in someone's face. And the majority of the work that the entire staff team does is around 90% voluntary, if not 100% at times. So that is something you have to consider as well. The server is not making a lot of money at the moment. I think it's pretty simple logic that the less players you have, the less money you make. It's not something that I am afraid to deny, that we are not exactly going through the best period that Paradise has ever gone through. And it is something that we are aiming to get through. We are not going to shut down. We have no plans like that. We are planning to revive Paradise and to bring it back to what it once was. More of like a back to basics kind of thing. And add to it in such a way that
And how are you going to do that? I mean, wasn't that the idea from the beginning? And it didn't seem to work out. So, how are you going to get more players if no one actually wants to play? Because they just...
On the next global reset, we will have certain new things which are implemented, which will hopefully attract players. I can't say that it will, but we are hoping that it will attract players. So we have to... I can't release everything, but upon global reset, there will be a lot of new implementations, as well as fixing stuff like the economy. I think that is the thing that put players off the most, is the fact that we didn't have an economy which was functioning properly on any of the servers. Like Survival, Skyblock, Factions didn't have an economy which was working. There was one or two aspects which just broke the economy, and that is something which we will fix, along with adding new things that will hopefully bring more players to the table.
How are you gonna put fixing all the bugs? Because last time you added custom enchants, people managed to get Inquisitive like 2,000.
Yes, that was a mistake of one of the previous executives that we had called Revs. He just copied and pasted the files on Factions for custom enchants, which are just set up for Factions. So just copying and pasting them onto Skyblock without checking if like we would find complications was a huge mistake on our part as a team. We're not doing any.
It doesn't change the fact that you can rename it and make it Inquisitive 1000.
That has been fixed, and nothing like that will be able to occur in the next reset. If that's what you're worried about.
Okay, thanks, that's all.
No problem.
Okay, so Mickey plays, he wants to speak to you in Maltese.
Okay, I can speak to him in that language if that's what he wants. Yeah, okay. I don't know how he knows that I speak that, but like I can speak to him in that language, so sure, go ahead.
Probably because he's not a player.
What?
I mean, you had on your engine that you lived in Malta.
Yeah. So yeah, if you want, yeah, he can if he wants to.
Okay.
تستطيع تتكلم. تستطيع تتكلم يا جيد. Okay, let's move on to someone else.
Okay. Check my mixtape wants to speak again. Apparently he was AFK.
Okay, alright, sure, go for it.
Okay.
Hey, what's it called? Why do I keep getting muted when everybody else doesn't get muted?
Sorry?
Why do I get muted when everybody else doesn't get muted? Is it because I'm white trash?
There is like that seems to be like a very interesting question.
It is interesting.
There shouldn't be like a biased opinion towards you. You're a player just like everyone else, and you are muted according to what rules you break. We don't like just outright mute you and give someone else a completely different or lower punishment than you. So
Okay.
So
Wait, one more question.
Sure.
How did Spike Team 123 get mod?
Yes, Swag Team 123 did get mod, and I understand that Jacob, I'm going to call him by his actual name since I think it's easier. Jacob is Swag Team 123 for everyone else who's wondering. I understand that Jacob is a controversial person in relation to him getting staff. I was not.
Yeah, I noticed.
I was not a member of staff
Everybody knows.
when he was given trial mod and then eventually mod. But I think it's also slightly ridiculous to assume that no one can mature. I mean, Swag Team has been on the server for, well, I mean, practically since it opened. He has been here for a very long time, and it's stupid to assume that he won't mature as he gets older. I mean, the server has been open for a good 5 years, and if he's been here for about 4, it's been 4 years, and there's a big difference when you're, let's say, 14 years old to 18, you know? You mature a lot in this kind of stage, and the work he did as a staff member was exceptionally good. He did more than above average as a staff member, and yes, there was a certain element of risk and definitely a certain element of hate given by the community towards the decision to make him trial mod and eventually mod. He did a very good job as a staff member, and he resigned due to the controversy around him, and I think if there is something that we can take from that, is that he made a very respectable choice in resigning, because the staff team was not going to demote him if he's doing a good job, he's abiding by the rules, and he has helped us a lot, and he is currently still on our build team, and he's still helping us there. So, yeah, I understand that he has a history where he's been banned for several things, but they weren't super malicious things in the sense, like, we have had a very toxic staff member called Ship Martech, and he did a lot to give the staff team hell during his time when he resigned, whilst Jacob did stupid, immature things like swearing and duping just to get attention, whilst now he's matured into something a lot different. So I think we have to respect that as well. I understand that there is a lot of evidence against him. Stephen Apro did a very good criticism of him on the forums, and it's definitely something which is subjective as to how you view it, whether he should have been accepted or not. But all I can say is that the staff team at the time, when they received his application, they 100% sure considered his past and what he wrote in his application and his current behavior in game, and they decided that it was enough to give him a chance. And he did a very good job when he got that chance, because he did everything that he possibly could to redeem himself, and he has helped and is still helping to this day the server. So that's all I have to say on that.
Now, what's it called? If you can, describe the expertly designed staff process.
The staff process is very simple. There are two main aspects when you apply. You have the application and the content that you've added in the application. We look for certain characteristics and a certain amount of detail in the application. The questions are made in such a way that they are quite general questions, so you're very open as to what you write. So you have to see what content you want to put into your application. And the second part, obviously, is what has happened, what you have done in game, how you've been in game. And yes, what Jacob did is definitely something which worked negatively towards his chances of being accepted. But what counts definitely more than his past is how he was currently behaving and acting on the server. And he was acting very good. He made a significant improvement in his behavior, enough that he was deemed fit for staff. And you have to consider what he did in the past was a long time ago in the past. The big things like his duping, his banning, his hacking, and all that. It wasn't something which happened just a few days ago or a few weeks ago. We're talking years for some of the punishments. So yeah.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. Someone else? I got a message from the person called NG. He would like to speak. They have a dog as a profile picture, if you can see, Melissa. Has Melissa disappeared? Melissa's disappeared. Where has Melissa gone to? It seems that Melissa has... Oh, there she is, okay. There's someone... Yeah, I can hear you. There's someone called NG. They have a dog skin, or well, dog profile picture. They'd like to speak if you want to let them.
Okay. Oh, okay. Found him. If he'll right click, okay. There we go.
Okay. You can speak. You can speak if you'd like to. NG, would you like to speak? Hello?
I'm not sure. Okay.
They can speak. They don't have the mute on them, but shall we move on to someone else until they maybe like come back, and then if they message me again, I'll just tell you.
Sure. Okay. Let's see. How about Ninja Pony?
Sure, go.
Okay.
Ninja Pony, do you want to speak? Shall we move on to someone else? I think.
I guess. Guess no one wants to speak today. Let's see. How about Joe?
Sure. Okay.
Okay.
Good choice, my dudes.
Hi, Joe.
Hello. Do you have any plans to revamp parkour? Because it was added like 2 years ago and no one ever did anything.
Parkour. I doubt that we will be doing anything towards parkour in the near future. The reason I'm saying this is because although it kicked off at the beginning, the amount of players that came on dropped significantly, and it just takes up more server RAM than it actually does contribute towards, actually helping the server or like attracting players to it. It is something that once we have released the global reset we could consider adding later on, but I think our main focus is the sub-servers which have attracted the most people in the past, which are Skyblock, Survival, Creative, and so on.
Gotcha, my dude.
Anything else you'd like to ask, or is that it?
That's pretty much it.
Alright.
Okay.
Love you guys.
NG messaged me again, and she asked if they can go next, because they were AFK.
Okay. I'll do him. Okay.
You can speak, NG. NG, would you like to speak?
His mic is having troubles.
Would you like
Read
to?
into his main chat.
Would you like to just send me a message, for example, telling me your questions, and I'll answer them to you? Okay, so let's wait till NG message me your questions, and then I'll answer them. Can we unmute Optifine and let them speak? And then after that, Midgie plays, please. And we'll see.
Okay.
Alright, thank you, Melissa.
No problem. Okay. Up to that. AFK too?
They're talking. We can't seem to hear them. Can't talk. No one can hear you. Would you like to maybe write the message instead of speak it? Okay, we'll give you a chance. Okay. Can you give them permission to speak again? Until they work out what's going on with their microphone, I'll answer NG's question, who sent me a message now. They said, when will 1.11 be the minimum requirement to log on to ParadiseMC, because they want to use newer blocks? Well, the global reset will be 1.8 upwards. I can tell you that. That's something which is confirmed. Yeah, I know that you're limited to the blocks up to 1.8 for building. I can see why this would bother you, but I think the biggest issue is that the biggest issue is PvP. I mean, everyone prefers 1.7 and 1.8 PvP, and you can make it in such a way that you're running 1.12 or 1.11 and you have 1.8 PvP, but it isn't very easy. And considering everything, it's not really worth it to move up, since most players are still stuck at 1.8 and 1.7. Those are the most popular. So I don't think we'll be moving anytime in the future. Maybe later on to make the server more, but it's not an official plan.
Optifine says he can't talk, so I don't know.
Just give me one moment.
It says he doesn't have permission.
Just give me, okay. Optifine, do you want to just message me your question?
I'm not sure why it's not working for some people.
As for the question that it's already said, yeah, I'm sure at the end we'll just move to something like Creative or Skyblock, and you can all talk if you'd like to. That's entirely up to you.
Okay.
Optifine, please send me your message. It's up to you.
For now, let's do Silly Butts.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Wanted something.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, what's up, Silly? Can no one speak?
Silly, can you speak?
I'm not sure if it's like mic issue or a Discord issue.
Silly, can you right click on yourself and see if you're muted from there, for example? You have to speak up as well for it to register that you're speaking as well. Optifine says they think they can speak, so do you want to try and unmute them maybe and see how that goes?
Yeah, sure. Okay, you're unmuted. Oh, he says he can't.
Optifine,
Okay.
do you want to just message your question, or just send it in the chat, the main chat? I'll read it and respond.
Okay. Okay, let's see.
Meiji plays says he can.
Ryan had a question.
Yeah, Ryan can.
Oh.
Doesn't matter who you do
I
first.
think. Yeah. Okay. What's up, Ryan?
Ryan, can you speak, or? I'm not hearing Ryan. Let me see.
Oh, you aren't?
No, is he speaking?
Yeah, he said for Kevin to make an inspirational speech.
Oh, well, I mean, Kevin is more than welcome to talk about. For everyone who doesn't know, Kevin was promoted to senior administrator. So if he would like to give a speech at the end, he is more than welcome to. And if any of you want to ask a question directly to Kevin, you can as well. I received a question from Ninja Pony, which I thought was a very good question, and I'll answer it. And they said, let me just get the question, 1 sec. They said, what actions will you take to lessen the frequent turnover of staff to make a collective team that truly works together? Yes, as you may or may not know, we have switched managers a total of 4 times in the last 4 months. Yes, it's not good. The bottom line is that the manager role at the moment requires someone to be working a ridiculous amount of hours to keep up with the demand of things that they have to do. So the solution that we are going to come up with is we are going to find a way to divide, basically division of labor, to divide the amount of work better with the amount of staff members that we have. We are not a big team at the moment. I believe we're about 12 or 13 staff members at the most. And piling everything on just the person who's in the manager role doesn't work, as you can see. Phi left, Pei left, Rachel left, lots of managers left without remaining in the position for very long. So what we're going to do is we're going to restructure the staff team, and we will probably release all the details about it with the reset that is coming up soon, the global reset. And hopefully it reduces the amount of work that the leadership team has to do. It gives more responsibility to the administrators and the senior administrators, and hopefully it will keep players from resigning due to the amount of stress, but resigning for other reasons, like them simply not having enough time, getting bored of Minecraft and stuff like this. Reasons which normal staff members resign for. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, Irish Noise want to speak?
Yep, go for it. And then after that, we'll do Miji play, since they want to speak.
Okay.
Oh, Optifine can speak. Okay, go for it.
I was just wondering, like, oh my god, I was just wondering, who are the top 10 of Paradise?
Just a suggestion for you. If you could speak,
I'm the best PvPer in the world.
if you could speak a bit louder and a bit more clearer so we can understand your question.
So, like, you're the top 10 PV players of ParadiseMC.
I'm not sure these are the type of questions we're looking for. I believe there is a forum post where someone did their opinion on the top 10 PvPers. If you'd like to view that, just search PvP. Just search PvP.
In my opinion, I think I'm the best.
That's wonderful. I hope you are. I guess if you are the best, it's a pleasure to have you in this Discord. So yeah.
I can click around
We're trying to look for very interesting, but we're just trying to look for slightly deeper questions.
Okay, Mickey plays.
Yeah, go for it. Eva, Mr. Mark. Color sole ba? Evi. تستطيع شي زيمل باش تعمل زوب جول زيمل وتخشيها سو.
Alright, okay. وكول من فين نشتري زوب جوبات؟
check your test your foot survival تستطيع تشتريها من الماك و alright okay شيء he thanked you for letting him speak.
Gracias.
Basically they just for people, obviously no one else besides me and this other person speaks the language. Basically they just asked will survival be reset as well, so that's it. And survival will be reset as well with all the other servers. It's a global reset.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do Irish noise. What did her? I think she can, oh wait. Hello, she can speak. Yeah.
Alright, hi. So I'm Ellie.
Hi.
First of all, this is really good, the fact that you guys are communicating with us, but I just want to know that you guys are going to be doing this more often, because I feel like a line of communication would be really good, because a lot of people get upset when they don't know what's going on. So
Yes, I agree with you 100% on that. We should definitely do these more frequently. This was sort of something which has been done in the past. We've never made it a regular thing. We don't have a specific plan to make it a regular thing as of yet, but it is definitely something that we will definitely do it more frequently. This won't be like a one-off thing. Maybe every 2 to 3 weeks or so, I would like to do something like this, and not too often, but every so often when things have changed in the team or things have changed on the server. And maybe soon after the global reset, we will do another one to hear your thoughts and opinions on the reset, maybe what you would like to change or what you have liked about it and stuff like that. I definitely agree that we should have better communication with the players, because at the end of the day, you make Paradise what Paradise is at the end of the day. It's you, the community. So yes, I definitely agree that we should do something like this more often. So yes, I will definitely try and make this a regular thing now. As you understand, it's very difficult to gather a substantial amount of people on the Discord at the same time, as well as getting staff members who have the ability to answer certain questions as well. So
okay, cool. That's pretty much all I wanted to know. So thank you.
no problem.
Okay. Let's do Silbert. What's up?
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Two questions and then a recommendation. Question number 1.
Yes.
Will there be new plugins added to
Yes, there will be new plugins added to Survival. As I said, we want to give a sort of element of mystery and surprise, as well as we're not 100% sure as to what we're going to add yet, as in what will 100% make it to the global reset date. But yes, there will be new plugins added to every server. Some will be on every server, others will be specifically for Survival. So yes, you can expect some new elements added to Survival.
Okay, good. Question number 2. Will we be advertising the server to players? The player base has slowly died.
Yes, the thing that makes, I mean, when someone commented and said that we had 800 players on at once, we had 800 players on because we were advertising using slots. There are websites, and basically when you search top Minecraft servers, you get a certain number of websites. Those websites, which come in the first 3 or 4 on the hyperlink list, charge large sums of money for you to have your slot there where you can advertise your server. That was our main form of advertising. You normally have these slots for maybe 2 to 3 weeks at the most, and the issue is that it brings players for a short period of time. Some stay and some leave, and you sort of, according to whether these new players bring more income or less income, gain a profit, a surplus, or a loss. Yes, we are definitely looking to methods of advertising, more sustainable methods of advertising, which don't just bring us an influx of players and then all of a sudden we're back down to less than 100. We're looking for more sustainable, more affordable ways of advertising, which still brings players, not as much, but a more sustainable amount, which still keeps us relevant and makes us a bit bigger than we currently are.
Final question. Will the servers that were removed recently come back, and will there be new servers by any chance?
That question is a very good question. There will not be any new servers. That I can confirm for sure. The reason why there won't be any new servers is we currently don't have the player base for new servers. For example, we added trenches, and unless Nick was streaming, I mean, I have no issue with saying this, unless Nick was streaming or spamming everyone to come join, we would not get enough players to start the game. So it currently doesn't benefit us to invest time and money into a new sub-server, which will not get a sustainable player base or help the server at all. So our current, I always believe in this policy, is like, why make something new when what you currently have is broken? Because Survival, Skyblock, Creative, servers like these have big fundamental issues that we have to solve in the next reset. Once we get those out of the way and we have a sustainable player base on those, or big player bases on those, we can look to adding new servers. But there is no point in doing it unless we get the current servers right. What the fundamental core of Paradise, the main server, Survival, Skyblock, and all those. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Okay. Is that it?
Yep, that's all.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, Check My Mixtape wants to speak again.
I mean, it wasn't him the first 2 times anyway, but, you know.
Does anyone else, before we start doing, like, secondary questions, does anyone else who hasn't already spoken yet would like to speak, for example?
I'm not sure. No one else has messaged me that's been first timer.
Does anyone from the media team want to speak? You are more than free to speak. Since, I mean, you get told certain information regarding the server, but obviously you're not told everything. So, I mean, if you want to ask anything, this would be a good time. Anyone? No, I'm here. I'm here. Did someone ask a question? Because if they did, I didn't hear them. Sorry.
No. What
would-
did you say before you quit your life?
Sorry.
Before you died? What did you say before you died?
I didn't say anything. What do you mean?
Oh, okay. I thought you said something.
No. Do you want to say something, Apro? Do you want to ask a question or?
No, because I don't really want to rant on about stuff.
I mean, it's okay. I mean, this is what this is for. I mean, we're not looking for simple questions. We're looking for questions which could give us a bit of a challenge to answer, and questions, stuff like that. So I mean, it's what makes these player stuff meetups interesting, and I mean, it gives people more insight as to what to expect. So I mean,
Right. Okay. What do you think about the manager role? And I want it to be removed. Will it be removed?
okay, this is a good question. Yeah. The manager role. The manager role will be changed, not removed.
Yeah, but will it?
Let me explain. Let me explain. No, give me a second. The manager role's original purpose, and I know the original purpose of the manager role because although I had resigned as an executive, I was helping pay to make the manager role, and the whole purpose of it was for it to be a community manager, someone who focuses on the ideas of the community and is in a powerful enough position to make most of them happen and to give the community a bigger voice than they already have, because the community should have a voice, which is the most important voice, because without the community we are nothing at the end of the day. So the manager role has changed. There is no doubt that it's changed. It's basically become what the executive role used to be 9, 10, 11 months ago.
I don't think the executive role has ever changed. It's always been console.
Yes, you're right.
You'd be community manager, not manager.
Correct. Wait, hold on. I want a community manager position. I don't want what the current the manager position should be the management of the community and their ideas and their thoughts. The executive position has not just been console, it's also been staff management. Now it's just become a glorified system admin, and we would like to at least change the manager role to not be so primarily based on working, like Kat was working on console, she was working on tickets, she was working on Bycraft, she was working on configuration, she was doing everything. So at the end of the day, she wasn't just a community manager. In fact, the one thing that she struggled to find time for was to get online, talk to players, and listen to their thoughts. Maybe not every player is on the forums, not every player has the time to write a large forum post stating their opinion, and she didn't have time to go on and to speak to the community, to respond to all their ideas. And for everyone who thinks that Kat was trash or rubbish is wrong. They are wrong. I have been working with Kat for a while now, and you have the right to your own opinion. And but she did a lot of work for the server. I mean, if you think that she hasn't done a lot of work, she was the most active out of everyone, and she was the one who was putting in the most effort. And at the end of the day, she resigned because it just became too much, and that means we're not dividing the labor properly. And the manager role has changed from what its original purpose was. It's now not what it was. It's not focusing on the community. The whole point was that the manager role, community manager role, didn't do configurations, console. That was left to the executives. The manager role should primarily focus on managing the staff team and managing the community. And the executives should focus on console, configurations, and helping manage the server and make executive decisions related to the server to help benefit the server. Whilst the manager role should be in a position where they can speak to the executives and get most of their ideas implemented, the ones which are possible for the server to do. And the point was that the community would have someone who they could come to with their issues, their concerns, and they would know that their ideas and their concerns will go directly to the leadership team, and a decision will be made, or something will take place, or at least we'll at least recognize that there is something that we have to do in department whatever in relation to a problem that a player has brought up.
Okay, well, message to say, like, anything's been done about it, or Kat, I'm not sure if she did, but I don't think Kat messaged many people saying, oh, this is doing this, or I'm going to implement your idea.
You're right. No, we didn't have... Kat had a lot of other things to deal with, and the one thing that she struggled with was the main purpose of the manager role. And I am not afraid to say that that was a mistake from our part. And that is something we need to change. We need to take the ideas from the community, which we weren't doing previously, and we need to, like, take the ideas where we say, hey, listen, this guy has, or this girl has a completely valid argument here. They have a really good point, and we need to do something about it. We need to change some things. We need to take this guy's ideas and put it into action, or at least if it's not something that we can do overnight, we can say, listen, we've taken your ideas into consideration. The following the following stuff that you mentioned in your points we will take, and we will do our best to implement to help improve the server. And we weren't doing that before, and that is a mistake, and that is something that we need to change. And that is why the manager role needs to change into something better, something which it was intended for, not what it's become. It's developed into something which is not possible unless you have all the free time in the world to deal with all the current issues on Paradise, and you have nothing better to do or nothing else that you are committed to do. Then yes, you could do the manager role. But if you have other things, life, priorities that all of us have at the end of the day, it's impossible to manage the way, it's impossible to fill the manager role. It needs to be changed, and we need to divide labor, because at the end of the day, we had seniors who really didn't have a lot to do and were just sitting down, doing what they were told to do, but not really doing the amount that they should be doing as a senior. And then we had moderators and admins who are just moderating servers and didn't feel like they had much purpose either. And that needs to change. And we want everyone on the Paradise staff team to say, like, look, I have this much work that I have to do, and no one feels like, oh my god, I have so much to do, how will I ever manage? And that is what we have to change.
Well, you say mods have nothing to do. Well, their role is to moderate servers. They should be given permission to do much else.
Yes, you're right. But as you know, we have some sub-teams on the server, and they can take interest in that. We can give them things to do in that. You're right, when a mod finally qualifies and finally becomes a mod, the first thing they should do is, work their way around and get used to the ropes of being moderator. And then after that, they can begin doing other things towards helping the server without giving them, I'm not saying that we give them loads of things to do that bombard them and give them way too much responsibility than a moderator should have, but we should definitely give them a few more responsibilities, a few things that they can state their opinion in, like, I don't know, the media team, for example. Maybe if they're good at building, join the build team. These are all parts of the staff team. Yes, anyone can join them, but it's what...
Well, they've always been able to do it. Like, the staff chats, they can give their opinion on anything. I mean, it's up to the executives or the higher-up staff to take note of it.
Yeah, you're right. And we need to create more incentives for moderators and admins to take initiative to join these and to divide the labor more and to help out. That's why, for example, we didn't have Kat as a leader to the media team, because we have Melissa as the media team lead and she does a very good job at it, and we need to divide the labor more and see who can take on certain responsibilities. And we need moderators when they join the team, and we can say, listen, there are these things that you can do, and we push for them to do certain things that they are good at, and we can then depict from what they offer in the team where we see these moderators in 3-4 months from now,
Okay. Right. One final thing. You said you were going to change the manager role. Are you going to revert it back to what pay originally had it set out to be? Or are you going to do something else with it?
I do not entirely know Pay's idea that she had for the manager role. I was working with Pei at the time for the setting up of the community manager role. She definitely changed it in a way that was different to what I had in mind. I cannot say that will be identical to what I have in mind. That's impossible. But as I said, the whole purpose of it will be to focus on the community. All of you here in this player staff Discord chat make up a part of the community, and you should have a say, a big say in what we do and the direction that we take Paradise. And if we can't implement something that the community strongly wants, we have to give a very good explanation for it, because at the end of the day, if we do not create stuff that appeals to you, then then we're not going to get your attention, you're not going to come online, and that's not what we want. We want you to be happy at Paradise. We want you to be happy with what we're offering. We want to make you feel like your ideas, your comments and stuff are taken into consideration. You don't feel like it's just pushed under the rug like it's nothing. And that is the purpose of the manager role, to be the head of that and to make sure that happens. Check my Apro, do you have anything else to say before we move on, or?
Nah, I'll stop there.
Alright, okay.
Okay.
Check just said a question in chat. I'll answer it. Let me just answer it. What will you guys, at Kevin and at George, what will you guys do to improve the anti-cheat, because I was able to auto-click for months and use Metro? Okay, first thing I would like to say is that it is very difficult to detect a auto-clicker. An auto-clicker is the hardest thing to detect, because with auto-clickers like Metro, 7-clicker, it's very easy to create a large CPS, which is clicks per second gap, so it alternates between 10 and 18 clicks per second, and there are players who can click very high, and I can't just ban someone who has a click speed which is alternating constantly, because that makes it seem like it's legit, whilst if I see someone and they're clicking at a constant speed, then yes, I can determine that that's auto-clicker. We need definitely to find a anti-cheat that is capable of detecting things like that, and if we are unable to make an anti-cheat which gets it the majority of the time, we need to get the staff team more aware on what auto-clickers are and what all these programs do, these external programs, and we need to train them based on the most experienced staff members who know the large details regarding how auto-clicking works and stuff, and we need to train them to be able to depict what counts as auto-clicker, what isn't auto-clicker, and we will definitely do some staff training related to that, and I'm very glad that you brought up that point. That is something that we will definitely look towards doing, especially when PvP is at its peak, which will probably be soon after the global reset. So I hope that's a good enough answer for you. Alright.
Okay, it's Rugby wants to speak.
Go for it.
Okay.
Why do you keep accepting like 13-year-olds as staff members? I mean, there's more than enough OG players that actually do know what's best for the server, but you don't accept them because they're a bit ruder, because they speak the truth and they're not held back by some kind of stuff. I mean,
alright, let me
no, the people that apply, they're scared of, I don't know what, getting punched, but people like us, the OGs, are actually saying what we want. I mean, we don't care about your opinions, we're just telling the
let me answer this question. When you say 13-year-olds are accepted, we have players on the team who, yes, they are 13, 14 years old, and they do a very good job, you know? So, as for what you said about, I think the best way to describe it is having like a filter. I mean, as staff members, we have to set a certain standard, and like, if we have rules regarding swearing, you can't have us in game swearing. I'm not saying that staff members don't swear. At the end of the day, we're all human, but at least in game and on official ParadiseMC related things, we should not be breaking the rules that we enforce. Like, how can I enforce a rule that I break?
Well, you can, but
It's very hypocritical.
we don't swear in filter. We can't swear because it's filter.
Now, wait, hold
How
on.
are we planning on swearing in game?
No, hold on. I'm just saying there. That was just one part. To your,
I
to your
know,
question.
I'm
Just,
not stupid, but
no,
still,
I'm not calling you stupid by any stretch of the imagination. The other thing is that although you may have good ideas, you may not have the qualities that are needed to become a staff member. When you write your application has to be very well written. Just because we may need staff or we're understaffed doesn't mean we're going to lower our expectations on what we expect in an application. In an application, you should already have the potential ideas and mindset of a staff member. Sometimes when we read an application, we can depict that they're only going forth for their own personal gain. They have a sense of being power hungry and stuff like this. And those are things that do not attract us in accepting applications. The application has to be well written. There is a application guide by Rachel, who is our previous manager, on what we expect from your application and how we expect it to be written. And that is normally where very good players fail. It's when their application lacks.
So let's say you're not a native English speaker, you're just gonna fail because you're not that good at writing something.
Well, this brings up another issue. The entire team primarily speaks English. Very few of them speak, another language besides English. And
but if people don't speak English that well, they're not gonna have a chance. So.
That's not what I'm saying. For example, I'm very good at speaking English, but I wouldn't say it's my main language. But my English is very fluent, and you have to have the ability to comprehend everything that the other person is saying, and sometimes when we pass information between each other, the information can have a lot of technical words, and it may not be the easiest to understand if your English isn't very clear. You have to treat it as like one of the requirements for being staff. You have to have the ability to comprehend and speak English fluently without any big grammatical mistakes and stuff like this, because people speak on this server mainly English. And
yeah, then also just talk about I see a lot of Dutch people swearing in chat, and when I pointed out, none of the staff members just something about it. I mean, I know you don't understand, but I do know what they're saying, and when I pointed out, you're not even gonna go to the hassle of just fucking it. Like, jeez, you're just gonna let people swear, which is against the rules.
Okay.
You're not gonna do anything about.
The first thing I would like to say is try not to swear on this Discord. That's the main thing.
Yeah, sure.
That's
Then still in game, if they swear in a different language, you're not gonna do anything about it because you don't understand what they're saying. But when I pointed out you're swearing, you're not gonna do anything.
Hold on. I can, if you message me in game and you say that person is swearing in that language, I will Google translate it, and unless I am 100% sure by the translation that I get that is exactly what they're saying, then I will not punish them, because at the end of the day, it's not like English where I see someone say the F word and I'm 100% sure that counts as swearing and I can punish. It is a big deal if I punish someone for swearing and then it turns out that what they said wasn't actually swearing. Now, I'm not saying that you would be lying, but if there was someone who is speaking in a foreign language and they say something and then someone else tells me, hey, they just said the F word in Chinese, for example, I'm not going to just outright ban them based on another player's opinion. I need to be 100% sure. And if I Google Translate it and I don't get a clear translation, or it seems rather odd and it's not what I would regard as swearing, then I'm not going to just punish them unless I'm 100% sure. It's not something which we want to do, because at the end of the day, if we punish someone for not swearing and then they come to us and they're like, hey, I didn't actually swear, this is what I said, and we're wrong, we look like idiots, really. And let me just say this as well. It is a big deal when someone swears in English in chat, because I would say at least 95% of our players speak English, whilst if someone speaks in, I speak Maltese, for example, it is very, very lucky that someone came in here and spoke to me in Maltese. But let's be honest, how many people speak Maltese on the server? Not many. So if they swear, if let's put it this way, if they swear in a language which isn't very common on the server, it's not like many people will be able to.
Common. I mean, there's like.
No, yes, you're right. There is. I understand. I understand that there is definitely a player base of there's a Dutch player base on the server, and what I can suggest to you is this: that after I finish this player meetup, I will give you my Skype, and if in the following days you will give me like a list of Dutch words, which are swearing, and you give me hold on, just give me.
If you translate it from Dutch to English, it's gonna say something else, because that's how Google Translate works.
Yes, exactly. So how am I supposed to?
The word "could," but then with a K instead of C, is exactly the same as cunt, but it's in Dutch. I'm sorry, I'm swearing, but it's
no,
whatever.
it's okay.
But you wouldn't know, because Google Translate gives you something else.
Just give me 5 minutes of your time to speak. If I can't depict what they're saying by a translation, I have no other way of knowing what they're saying. And although I may trust you, I can't just ban someone or punish someone for something they said without being 100% sure myself. I won't ban someone based on someone else's information unless it's like 100% foolproof. Now, I know that you speak Dutch, and that I'm sure that you would tell me the truth, but if someone else came up to me and they said, hey, that Dutch word means this, I will not, and then maybe I punish them, taking what they said as the only form of evidence and backup that I have. If it then turns out that this person was lying and got someone punished or banned without actually doing anything wrong, it would be a severe issue, and we can't just trust random players based on what someone else is saying in a different language. Now, what I was going to suggest to you is this: if you would like to give me a list of words in Dutch and variations of those words, so if a word can be spelled differently, and if you give me the exact meaning of them, I will give it to the staff team, and if anyone sees something which is Dutch in game, they have a document or some pieces of information to refer to. That is the best I can offer for you.
Okay. Oh, and I also had to ask something from. Are you gonna add drugs back to prison? Because people liked it. I mean, it did change a lot on prison. It made it more fun. I mean, you never had that many people in prison playing before that, did you? Or not that I know of it.
Regarding drugs on prison, it is something that we will consider adding, maybe not directly when the global reset starts, but later on during the reset, after the post-reset, we may add something, may not exactly be what drugs used to be, but maybe something which will add another element to the game.
But then, whenever you add something that people like, you remove it because, for what stupid reason, because it has a bug that you can probably fix, then you remove it and people quit playing because they don't like it anymore. Can't you ever leave something as it?
Look, we can leave, we for example, custom enchant on Skyblock. If we left it how it currently was, there were people who were able to rename the custom enchant to a much higher level and basically make experience, which was a big part in the economy, completely useless because they could get experience almost instantly. And we have to make sure when we implement something that when we implement it, if it has a few bugs, it's not bugs that will completely screw up the server and the economy, because then you have an economy which is broken, and then that is what we have to make sure that we get that right.
Yeah.
So I hope that
that's normal, but Drex didn't have any bugs in it, or not that I know of. I mean, people never went and abused.
Look, you seem to have like a lot of very interesting comments and concerns. We would like other people also to have the ability to speak. I will message you on Discord, my Skype, and feel free to message me, and I will answer you on there if you don't mind, so we can just move on to other people so they can speak as well. All right. All right.
Wanted to speak.
Okay, because people would like Kevin to give a speech. Let's let Kevin give his speech regarding him becoming. I mean, obviously, if Kevin wants to. I mean, if he doesn't want to, he doesn't have to. But Kevin, you can give your speech on becoming senior. Okay, we'll give you. Okay, obviously you're not prepared. Okay, Kevin, when you're prepared, just send me a message and I'll tell Melissa to unmute you. So.
Okay, Joe just sent me a message, so I'm assuming he wants to speak.
Alright, go for it, Joe.
Hello again.
Hi, Joe.
Hello.
So, in my opinion, the biggest problem with the economy was the implementation of G tokens and server creeps, or the reset, reduce the impact in the economy.
Yes. Okay, regarding that. Yes, they definitely had a big effect on the economy, and a negative one at that. I wouldn't say it was the biggest. You're talking about Skyblock, right? Or are you talking about in general?
I mean, I only really play Skyblock, but I assume it's annual service.
So let's talk about Skyblock. I don't know if you know, but there's the end mine, and I showed this to one of the staff members, and basically there was the custom enchants from factions enabled, so you can put blast through on a pickaxe, and you can empty the end mine in like a minute at the most, and it would get you between 9 to 10k each time that you sold it, and you would get around 10k every 8 minutes, because that's how often it takes it for it to respawn. And by selling the endstone and the obsidian, you would make a lot of money, and like that you don't have to have farms, and people were making millions at a time. Not to mention it screwed up island levels as well, because with the obsidian that they got, they could easily craft ender chests, and ender chests have the level 1.5 per ender chest for the islands, and that let them get a high island level and a high level of income as well. Not to mention experience sold. Each legendary enchantment book sold for about 25k per book, and with Inquis 500 or 2000 on it, it caused a big issue. Because then it broke the economy. As for G tokens, I know that it has had a very negative effect on the server, and it definitely needs to be changed to a great extent that it doesn't break the economy, because I know that it bothered a lot of people, and it is definitely something that we will try and change either when reset happens or post reset.
Well, thank you. And also, I know you probably don't have an exact date, but can you give a rough idea as to when the reset would take place?
Okay. Okay. I don't want to say an exact period of time, and then it comes earlier, it comes later than that. But let me just say it will happen, obviously, next month. Either next month or the beginning of the month after that. So either end sort of late October or beginning of November is roughly when the global reset will happen. Now, I wouldn't. Those are my estimates with how the team is currently working. It may come quicker. It may come later than that. Okay, so that's that.
Alright, sounds good, my dude. That's about it.
All right. Does anyone else want to speak?